Hey everyone, it's Kelly from Silly Moon Quilting Co. Many of you may have seen this string of pearls picture that I did on social media. So I thought I'd just do a really quick tutorial and explain how I did this and a little bit of the math behind it. So if you see here, I'm using the 1-inch circle of Cheezie. So the 1-inch circle. Remembering that it says 1 inch, but this, if you measure it, will not measure 1 inch because we've already done the math for you to figure out for your ruler foot dimension. And I wanted a spacing of 1 inch, so to kind of keep it even. So what I chose here for this one is I chose a space between these two lines of 2 inches. So I marked my fabric. On these ones I used my Harrow marker. On this one I used a different pen, so just so that you can see a little clearer. And really you can do this with any size circles. So if you wanted to do this over a large quilt, you could absolutely do that by using a bigger circle and a bigger space, obviously. So, but I want to talk about the math behind this a little bit. So you can see here the very first circle that I did was in the center of a top line that I've got marked here and the straight line down. So my ruler for that one was oriented like this so that you can see I've got a mark there and a mark there and a mark there to keep me all lined up. Come in a little bit on that. You can see those marks there, there, and there. That keeps me all lined up. Remembering with Cheezie, you can keep this little notch any way you want. So if you're more comfortable with it, the back, you can certainly do this and have it like that. That's fine too, whatever works for you. Also, if you start at the top of your circle, you will have to do 1.5 circles all the way around. And ideally, you want to do one on the clockwise direction, one on the counterclockwise direction when you double back to make that straight line. That kind of keeps it look a little bit more balanced. You can also go a couple times around to make it look heavier if that's the look that you want to achieve. So you can see here I've done my first circle, or I've done my first 3. So now I know this spacing is 1 inch here. So I want to bring down my center of my 1-inch circle so that it's in the center of this line. So it's in line there. So it's offset like this. So I need to use Spacey to come down 1/2 inch. So I want to come down the half of the distance of that circle. So half of the diameter of the circle. Okay, so the circle is 1 inch from here to here, so I want to come down 1/2 inch to keep this spacing the same as I've got here. So I've got my 1-inch circle, just to recap, a 1-inch space, so I'm going to come down here 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to cheat a bit, and I'm not going to lock my threads because I'm going to get on with the stitching part of this. So I'm just going to do it, I'm not going to pull up my thread. I'm just going to lock my stitches there, and I'm going to use the 1/2 inch marker on Spacey, remembering that again, that any number that's on there is the stitched size, not the actual space if you measure this, okay? So as with all of the rulers that have an indent, I'm going to line up that on my flat, on my seam or my mark line. I'm going to come down 1/2 inch, and I'm going to stop there. Then I'm going to lift my ruler foot and move my Spacey out of the way. And I'm going to put my 1-inch circle back in there. And I'm going to do it so that I have the space in the back, but you could do it whichever you choose. And again, I'm using this line to make sure that I'm going now straight up and down. So I can go ahead and do my circle. And I'm sort of a little trail there. Come back down around and stop when I reach that seam. Now I'm going to transition back to my 1-inch space. So now I've got my 1-inch space. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm going to stitch down my line. And then I'm going to carry on back to Cheezie, opening this up, making sure you're giving yourself lots of room when you're putting that ruler down. You don't want to come down on the edge of it. And I did my first one clockwise or counterclockwise, so I'm going to go back this way. And if you hold your ruler nice and straight and flat, and you've got your sticky tape, remember all our rulers come with sticky tape, so if you've got your sticky tape on there, you'll have no issue keeping that and stitching back over the same seam. So now I've done my spacing here. So I've done my 1/2 inch, 1 inch circle, 1 inch space, 1 inch circle. And then I can go back to lining up again on here using my 1 inch and stitching straight down, and then carrying on over to my 1 inch circle and doing one more just to show you the full effect of that. So this is a great design if you want to do this in an overall design on a quilt, and more people keep asking me about that. So how you would do an overall design rather than a specific block design. And this one works really well, and I call this chain of pearls or string of pearls. And you can do this either as an overall design on a quilt using bigger circles if you've got a larger quilt, and maybe the 2 inch or the 3/4 inch or something spacing on Spacey. You can do something a little bit larger. But it's kind of a neat way to finish it, or it's something that you can absolutely do in sashing or in borders. So this is a really quick way to create a lovely chain of pearls using our Cheezie ruler, circles from 1/2 inch all the way up to 1.5 inches, or our Spacey ruler. And keep in mind that if you have our beanie set, so you're doing circles from 1 inch to 8 inch, you can absolutely use that as well. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to watch our video. Please like, share, and subscribe. That would be great. And have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.